Hello everybody, Spirit Jim here, and today I'm gonna be talking about the my core build on Soul Dancer, and most importantly the skill rotations and talents and different talent builds for Soul Dancer. As you can see, I switched to Soul Dancer again. I wanted to make some videos on Soul Dancer, and also check out the class and see how much I can do in Dragon Slayer, which I beat three more bosses as a Soul Dancer than I beat as a Blade Master, so I'm pretty happy about that. But let's jump straight into my core build. It's pretty simple. I'm running 9 water, 5 fire and 2 earth. Those 2 earth you are completely fine changing to wind depending on which classes you play. I like to have 2 earth gems just to make me a bit tankier for my Blade Master, because as I said, I will be switching daily to Blade Master and Soul Dancer, so I'm gonna want to have at least a bit more tankiness with those 2 gems. They don't give a lot, but they won't give a lot even if they are wind or earth, so basically I just placed 2 earth cores right there. Next up I will be talking about different talents, deep talents and skill rotations. So let's jump into my plan actually, and this is my healing plan. This is my buff and DPS, especially in dungeons for PvE I mean. This is my changeable plan, so I run this everywhere, and unless I know I want these few presets. So let's say I go into solo dungeons or something like that, I usually just change up the talents on this plan right here, and then I have the PvP plan. So let's talk about first about the talents in here. So let's go here. I think it's better. It's using the Team Heal talents. So Soul Link, it's not a must. You don't need to use Soul Link. You can use Sand of Time instead of Soul Link. I just placed it here because, as I said, this is a healing build, so I want to heal as much as I can, but you're completely fine with switching Soul Link into Sand of Time, so you can switch between those whenever you want. Law of Time and Word of Time are a pretty good combination, since if you use time expansion and then use your time lock, your time lock cooldown will be lowered, and as well as when you use time lock, the cooldown of your twin ability will get reduced by 10 seconds, and also the damage taken is decreased by 30 seconds for 5 seconds, which for 30% for 5 seconds, which is pretty good actually, not a bad ability. So what you're gonna do is first use your time expansion, use Shadowy Light, use one of these abilities, and then you can lower the cooldown on both Shadowy Light and time lock by a few seconds. And lastly, I didn't notice until then, but Mimir Spring, actually you can only activate this effect every 2 minutes, so you can only activate it basically you can activate it once, then you have to wait the second time, either use it but you won't get this effect, and then the next time. So every first, third, fifth time using this you will get the effect, and I realized this today, but I would recommend running it in Team Heal, your healing plan. But if you are, let's say, going for a bit of DPS and actually giving your teammates damage, I would suggest Holy Fist, but again, it's up to you. You can choose both, but this is more for burst damage, and this is for DPS, especially if you have gunslingers and blade masters in your team. And then for the deep talents, I always run time acceleration. I have a lot of cooldown reduction, and increasing it by 5% is giving me a lot there. The only reason why this is upgraded to rank 5 is to unlock this right here, Blessing, which gives Recall Light gives healing bonus by 16%, also awesome for healers. For the EX ability on the healing plan, I like to use Light Beacon, of course, because if you use Swimmer Spring and you don't use Light Beacon, that's basically the talent completely mistaken. For this here, I use EX, the EX ability Vortex, but you can use a bunch of different abilities, but I feel like Vortex in this situation, especially with my Soul Link, is gonna be awesome. And that is basically it for this plan, the healing plan, the PvE plan. Next up, I'll be touching about the buff and also dealing damage plan. So if you're going in dungeons with your teammates and you need to buff their damage and also deal more damage yourself, you're gonna want to run with this plan. Let's jump straight into the talents. So here we have Sand of Time, Loki's Trick, Ward of Time, and Holy Fist. So why are these talents this good? Sand of Time, as I said, you want to buff your teammates, but also you want to do as much damage as you can. So Sand of Time lets you do as much of the damage as you can. Next up is Loki's Trick. It's very good for clearing mobs faster, and also the 10% reduction on physical and magical defense is actually reduced even on bosses. So Loki's Trick actually works on bosses. Ward of Time, this I feel like is a must use. The other two are not the best abilities. So yeah, I think that this ability is gonna be way better, and it does work with the Holy Fist even better as well. So this states using Time Lock will decrease the cooldown of Shadowy Light by 10 seconds, basically making the this cooldown and this cooldown are around the same. You will have to wait 2 or 3 seconds, maybe even 5 seconds for this to activate again, but you're gonna mostly want to use the combo of of these two abilities, Shadowy Light and Recall Light, for these 3, because you're using Holy Fist, basically giving damage to anyone that stands inside of your circle. So what you're gonna want to do is use your time expansion, use these 2 skills right here, and boom, use Time Lock. And as you can see, they're around 3 to 4 seconds apart, and that's basically awesome. You're gonna want to spam those 2 abilities as much as you can. Now for the deep talents, as I said, I always run this deep talent, Time Acceleration. Then you're gonna want to use Might of Doppelganger, basically makes your twins damage increase by 10%, and then Water Mastery, Ice Glare Shock, which is the ability you spam the most, increases water attack by 1792, which is a significant amount of damage increased. Next up, for the EX ability, I'm using Royal Fire. You're gonna want to use a damaging ability, so either Scorch, Royal Fire, Thunderclap, and so on and so forth. Those are your main abilities. I actually use Light Beacon here as well because I like the healing, but if you don't need any healing, you can use Time Zero as well. We'll skip over this plan, I will talk about it later. Now for the PvP plan, this is gonna be your setup. Let's jump straight into the talents. it is basically the same as the DPS, except you have Mirror Spring, very good, increasing, especially in the 5v5, the new Ladder of Honor event and the Bombs event. This talent is very good because the places, the arena is pretty small, and you're gonna give the cooldown reduction effect to most of your teammates. Loki streak, self-explanatory. You can actually make two players chicken, also reducing their physical and magical defense. Sand of Time, very good ability. It gives you a lot of damage. Word of Time, again, Shadowy Light cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds, which is a lot. Let me actually test something out real quick. I'm sorry by doing this, but I want to check it out. So the cooldown is 43 seconds if I use 2 time locks. Okay, it just reduces by 10 seconds. I wanted to check it out. Maybe it would have reduced it double the times, but it doesn't. That's about it for the talents. Now the deep talents. Here are my deep talents. You can see one thing different here. I use time acceleration and might of doppelganger, but I also use weak. Basically polymorph, which is this ability right here, which is Kiss. Basically decreases the enemy's endurance, and trust me, in PvP, that's if you stun lock and then use your polymorph on Soul Dancer or Gunslinger, they basically cannot escape your whole team, and it is very good. If you know how to focus as well, this deep talent is one of the best deep talents on the excuse me, on Soul Dancer. And next up, for the EX ability, you would want to use any CC ability. I would recommend using what's this called, Creed, but if you don't have it unlocked, use either Vortex to protect yourself, maybe Dustbuster too, and I do not really recommend using Tyrant's Eye unless you're in bombs, but if you misclick and use Light Beacon and Tyrant's Eye at the same time, you will basically waste the time that the talent Mirror Spring gives you for decreasing your 40% cooldown reduction, and you don't want that to happen. It's happened a couple of times for me, misclicking both of my abilities, both my X abilities while had Tyrant's Eye on, and you don't want that to happen. But otherwise, Tyrant's Eye is a very good EX. That's pretty much it about these 3 builds, and now I'm gonna talk how I beat 3 more bosses with this build, and excuse me, I used time 0 and Scorch. So what I did in this build is basically full on damage. So this is my full damage build. Holy Fist gives you critical multi-strike and AP increases it by quite a bit. Fallen Glacier, when using Ice Glare Shock while you have your time expansion, and the cooldown of Ice Glare Shock reduces by 1 second, and you're gonna spam it a lot. Next up, we have a very good combination with Fallen Glacier, and that's Ballet in the Snow. Your released Ice Glare Shock damage is increased by 35%, but loses its healing effect. The Soul Dancer's 5th Ice Glare Shock attack will freeze enemies, so in Dragon Slayer this ability is very good because you can just kite the bosses around and do a lot more damage to them. And then we have Dance with Swans. When releasing Phase Shock, if Soul Dancer enters Mark of Azure range, Resonance becomes active, causing Phase Shock damage to be increased by 30%. So basically what this means is, if you use your Azure mark, let's say right there, go inside and then use your phase shock, you will do a lot more damage with the phase shock. That's at least how I do understand it, and I feel like that is the actual thing with this ability. About the deep talents, I run the maximum of the damage I can get, so that's Might of Doppelganger, time acceleration for cooldown reduction, and also water mastery for that extra water attack. And yeah guys, that is basically it for the talents and deep talents. I will go into dragon hunting right now and show you a few of my skill rotations and what I would like to do. I might mess up a few of them, but I will talk through it, so listen carefully and you will understand. Okay, it was hard for me to click it, but let's see what this is. I won't be using my EX ability at time 0. I will use only the regular abilities. So first, what you are gonna want to do with the full damage build is use your time expansion, use these two abilities, so Shadowy Twin Thing and Recall Light, and then use Time Lock to reduce Shadowy Light's cooldown. You have to be faster with that because I think that I didn't reduce my skill cooldown. Then what you wanna do is not use this ability. I made a mistake. You should have used this ability first, the first ability, and then use your phase shock to do the most amount of damage. In the meanwhile, while you can, you should use your polymorph as well, but with this build, polymorph doesn't do much on bosses. And that is pretty much it for this build. Now I will exit out and show you the skill rotations for the other plans. So basically, most likely I will show the PvP or the let's see, which one should I show. They're basically the same. Not much is different about them, but let's see right here, dragon hunting. Let's go again on the same boss. Right here I will I think that I have Mimir Spring on. So what you're gonna want to do is firstly use your your light beacon, time explosion, use all of your skills here and leave a time lock for the last skill. You want to use your first ability first, then third, then second, and basically you want to spam your abilities as much as you can. As you can see here, I'm taking no time at all with my skills. I can just spam all of my skills as much as I want, and that is basically it. I think I destroyed this boss in less than 30 seconds, and that is basically the skill rotation you would want to do against bosses most of the time. Yeah guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'm nearing 100 subscribers, and with each subscriber I'm getting even more and more motivated to make videos. I have a bunch of planned videos already. Some of them you will like a lot. It's a video about the community and what the community likes, but that's gonna be released in quite some time, so maybe stay tuned for that. Subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed this and learned something new. And yeah guys, thank you all so much for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.